Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT. I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, some news in the heavyweight division. We got Robert Helenius, fresh off his win, off the absolute upset, absolute beatdown he put on Adam Kownacki in front of the Polish faithful at the Barclays Center. He's coming out and he's saying via Boxing Scene, he's saying, I don't know why Kownacki won a rematch after what I did to my main man from Finland, the Nordic Warrior, the Nordic Nightmare, Robert Helenius. He's letting y'all know. So here's what it says. It says Robert Helenius isn't contractually obligated to give Adam Kownacki a rematch. He then goes on by saying, I quote, I don't know why he'd want to fight me again after what I did to him. He may say he wants to fight me again, but deep inside, I don't think so. It's a new experience for him. He had never lost. I've been there on the losing side as well. So I know it's a hard feeling to come out of and continue doing what you do. Helenius then went on by saying he has a style that I'm very familiar with. I've been boxing guys like that my whole life, so I felt right at home. I feel like I like when a fighter that pushes me. I think he felt it from round one because I hit him really hard in the stomach. I could feel his ribs through the gloves, and I knew nobody could take that kind of punishment. Every time he was coming forward, I wasn't in any distress. For me, I didn't feel that he punched very hard. Like I was saying before the fight, I didn't feel he has a really, really heavy punch. Of course, any heavyweight can knock anybody out, but he's a volume puncher, and he's an aggressive guy who comes forward. So there you have it. Robert Helenius, he's cutting you up and dissecting you brick by brick, Adam Kownacki. He's letting y'all know. He's letting Adam Kownacki know what the deal is. Now, it's interesting to talk about this fight and Robert Helenius and what he does moving forward because, listen, let's go to the rankings. As it stands right now, these are the WBA rankings right here. As you can see, you've got Anthony Joshua, who's the main champion. You've got Manuel Char, who I believe is the regular champion. I don't know if he's regular or super, but he's like a secondary champion. And then I didn't even realize the WBA actually has a third trinket, which is the WBA Gold. So Robert Helenius is the WBA Gold champion, and I'm not exactly sure what that means. And then you got my main man, Trevor Bryan, who is the WBA interim champion. So technically speaking, you got about 4 trinket holders here in the WBA. And I think that the path for Helenius is pretty simple. Obviously, there's no reason for him to go the Kownacki route. He already beat his ass soundly. Kownacki got what he deserved for turning down the Anthony Joshua fight last year. So I'm happy it happened. And Helenius is a good heavyweight. You know, it's been a long time coming. So I'm glad he got that win because he's been somebody that's been in a lot of tough fights, got some good names on his resume, and people were disrespecting him coming into the fight. And I'm not even gonna lie to you. Even I wrote him off going into that fight because he got stopped by Gerald Washington. So it's just one of those things in boxing where you can't ever write a fighter off just because he lost to a guy that you deem to be inferior to the guy he's currently fighting in that fight. You see what I'm saying? So, personally, what I think he should do, and this is me. I'm a nobody. I'm just a kid with some boxing T-shirts and a couple of boxing media credentials and a couple thousand subscribers on YouTube and millions of views on YouTube. I mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. I understand that. But listen, what I think he should do is, being that he's the WBA Gold Champion, so Manuel Char and Trevor Bryan, these guys are supposed to fight soon anyway. Trevor Bryan and Char are supposed to fight soon anyway. Once WBA straightens that out and those two guys fight, I think that the winner of that fight should fight Helenius. I think Helenius should fight that guy. And I'm gonna tell you why I think that. 2 reasons. Number one, all these guys are some form of WBA trinket holders. So, I think they need to sort that out at the top. And I want to know how good, if Trevor Bryan comes out and wins that fight against, let's say Trevor Bryan comes out and wins that fight against Manuel Char. I want to know how good Trevor Bryan actually is, and I think a good veteran like Helenius would be a good test for him. Now there are other routes he could go. Deontay Wilder, he's got his 5-3 coming up, so he's not gonna fight Wilder. You got Usyk who's in the picture, but Usyk's gonna go the WBO route, so he's probably gonna fight Usyk. Probably fight Joseph Parker over here. So you can eliminate Usyk from the picture. So then that leaves Luis Ortiz. And I think this right here could be a great opponent for a great fight because PBC has a working relationship with Helenius. The last fight, his last fight was with PBC, and he fought a PBC fighter in Kownacki. Ortiz is coming off of a devastating loss to Deontay Wilder in the rematch, and he's looking for an opponent. And he's a good name, and he's definitely a credible heavyweight. So I think that'd be a good scrap, Helenius versus Luis Ortiz. And if Ortiz can beat a Helenius who's coming off an upset win against Kownacki, that's a good one to have on his resume, and that's a great way for him to get back into title contention, and that puts him, in a good position, and then maybe he could fight the winner of Manuel Charlo versus Trevor Bryan. And if it's Trevor Bryan he wants to fight, that'd be interesting for me to see, because Trevor Bryan and Luis Ortiz, I know, have sparred each other quite a lot here in South Florida, down at the Herman Caicedo Sports Training Center, which is where Ortiz trains at. So that'd be a little interesting matchup for me to see. But there's definitely a lot of ways he can go. Now, just looking at the resume of Helenius, let's go to his box rec. Okay, we're talking a guy that was trained by Emanuel Stewart, big tall guy, coming to you live and direct out of Stockholm, Sweden, by way of Finland. He's the Nordic Nightmare. 30-3, 2 KO. So the only time this guy's ever lost, he's lost to Johan Duhaupas, got stopped by him, got outboxed by Dillian White, and got stopped by Gerald Washington. So he's had a weird career in terms of who he wins and who he loses to, because he loses to some guys that you would deem as worse than the guys he beats. Because Gerald Washington, I would say Gerald Washington is definitely worse than the Sergey Liakovic that he beat, and Gerald Washington is better than the Derek Chisora that he beat by split decision, and he beat Lamont Brewster towards the end of Lamont Brewster's career. So look, when we talk about Helenius, we're talking about a guy that's beaten Brewster, a guy that's beaten Samuel Peter, Liakovic, Chisora, Michael Sprott, who's a good little heavyweight journeyman, but then got stopped by Duhaupas. So he's one of those guys that's like, he's up and down. Beat Eric and Temper, that was a good win. I thought the Eric and Temper fight was a good win for him. So I'm very interested to see where he goes next with his career, but I think the ideal fight for him is the Ortiz fight. I don't know stylistically if that's the fight he'd want to go after, because again, Ortiz, we can say what we want about him being old. Recently in my community post, I just posted a picture of Ortiz's head photoshopped on one of the Vietnam War veterans, so because it was a funny picture. But we can joke about his age all he wants, but he's a stylistic tough matchup for just about anybody in the division, being that he's a pretty agile southpaw, good counterpuncher. The only problem with him is that he doesn't have that stamina for more than 4 or 5 rounds. So once you take Ortiz into that 5th, 6th rounds, he seems to lose the ability to move laterally. He gasses out and he becomes a lot hittable. But for those 4 or 5 rounds that he's able to, that his legs are able to hold up, he gives you serious problems. So I like to see how he can do against Helenius, because Helenius doesn't have a lot of foot speed. So maybe they might buy him a couple of more rounds. But if Helenius touches Luis Ortiz with his age and the way he got knocked out by Wilder, I think that could also be a tough fight for him. So we'll see. And then if he doesn't fight Ortiz, then you have Andy Ruiz, who's another PBC guy, and this is a great way to get Andy Ruiz back into contention for a Joshua fight. And Helenius versus Ruiz, I think, would be a great TV fight. That'd be a great fight to put on regular Fox here in the States. I think you get a lot of great exchanges. You would get a lot of great back and forth action. It'd be great for the casual fans, and it'd be great for the boxing fans as well. And if Ruiz can't beat the Heleniuses of the world, then he has no business talking about the Joshuas and the Furies and the Wilders and the other so-called elite fighters of the division. So that's what it is. Robert Helenius shutting down the prospect of Adam Kownacki even getting a rematch, because quite frankly he doesn't deserve one, and his ass should work his way up the back of the rankings. But there are some interesting fights out there for the Nordic Nightmare, and I just want to highlight some of them and give my thoughts on them. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Who do you want to see Robert Helenius fight next? Do you want to see him fight Luis Ortiz or Andy Ruiz Jr. or whoever? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure you guys follow me on Instagram. That's my Instagram account right there, Just a Kid from Dania. I'm always on Instagram, so you can always message me or comment or do whatever, and I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. So if you want to message me a video suggestion on Instagram, go ahead and do that. If you want to message me just something about boxing, go ahead and do that. If you want to say I don't know shit about boxing, go ahead and do that. Anything goes. It's fair play when you catch me on Instagram. But yeah, like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys.